You are living within established neural patterns, but they're not the only ones available to you. Right now, your brain contains the capacity for infinite new neural pathways, waiting to be strengthened through deliberate practice and conscious attention. Think about this. Your brain has approximately 86 billion neurons, each capable of forming thousands of connections with other neurons. This creates a network so vast and complex that the number of possible neural combinations exceeds the number of atoms in the universe. Yet most people remain locked inside repetitive behavioral loops, experiencing the same emotional patterns, the same limiting beliefs, the same frustrating outcomes, wondering why nothing changes despite desperately wanting more. They wake up each morning with the same thoughts as yesterday, feel the same emotions, make the same choices, and wonder why their life looks identical to the day before. Let's examine something crucial here. You are not stuck because of fate, destiny, or bad luck. You are not a victim of your circumstances, your genetics, or your past experiences. You are stuck because your nervous system, your cognitive patterns, your emotional responses, and your behavioral repertoire are still calibrated to old programming. It's like having a sophisticated computer running outdated software. The hardware is capable of incredible performance, but the programming keeps it locked in limited functions. You can't break free by wishing for it. You can't escape by forcing it. You can't bypass your nervous system by positive thinking alone. And you certainly can't trick your subconscious by pretending everything is different while your body holds the same patterns. Personal transformation isn't about wanting change harder. It's not about having more willpower or being more disciplined. It's about rewiring your internal system so completely and coherently that your brain literally has no choice but to create different neural pathways, leading to different experiences. This is the difference between forcing change from the outside in and creating change from the inside out. Most people think manifestation is about desire wanting something so intensely that the universe somehow delivers it. They believe in the power of positive thinking, vision boards, and endless affirmations without understanding the deeper neuroscience of how transformation actually works. But here's what the latest research in neuroscience, psychology, and behavioral change actually tells us. Desire alone creates no lasting change in your brain. Wanting something desperately can actually create more stress and resistance in your nervous system. Your nervous system doesn't respond to how badly you want something. It doesn't care about your goals, dreams, or desperate wishes. It responds to how consistently you embody the neural patterns associated with that change. It responds to what you practice most, not what you want most. This means that right now, even if you're saying all the right affirmations, creating beautiful vision boards, doing daily visualizations, reading every self-help book, and attending every seminar, you might still be reinforcing old neural pathways. Why? Because beneath conscious awareness, your body is wired for the familiar. Your nervous system is literally addicted to known emotional states. Your brain produces the same neurochemical cocktail every day based on your habitual thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. It's like being on a drug that keeps you in the same state. Your subconscious patterns are broadcasting signals of fear, doubt, and scarcity, even while your conscious mind declares, "I want abundance, love, and success." This creates what neuroscientists call cognitive dissonance, a state where your conscious intentions conflict with your unconscious programming. Here's the most crucial insight from modern neuroscience. Your brain processes approximately 11 million bits of information per second, but your conscious mind can only handle about 40 bits. Let that sink in. 11 million versus 40. That's like trying to drink from a fire hose through a straw. This means 95% of your behavior is driven by subconscious programming, the automatic patterns stored in your basal ganglia, limbic system, and brainstem. These are the parts of your brain that operate below conscious awareness but control most of your daily actions, reactions, and decisions. Your nervous system listens to your dominant neural activation patterns, not your loudest conscious thoughts. The dominant signal comes from your integrated system response, not just what you think, but what you feel, what you expect, what you believe, and what you embody at a cellular level. That's why you can affirm, I am wealthy, 1,000 times. Visualize abundance. Write gratitude lists. But if your body contracts with anxiety every time you pay a bill, check your bank account, or think about money, your nervous system registers the contraction pattern, not the verbal affirmation. That's why you can visualize love all day, meditate on relationships, practice self-love mantras. But if your heart is defended and closed due to past trauma patterns, if you flinch when someone gets too close, if you sabotage connections before they deepen, your system registers isolation, not connection. Your body is always telling the truth about what you actually believe at the deepest level. Let that land. The quantum field, the universe, life itself, it doesn't respond to your words or thoughts. It responds to your energetic signature, your vibrational state, your embodied frequency. What version of your identity has been making your choices today? What neural patterns have you been feeding with your focus, attention, and energy? Are you feeding the patterns of the person you used to be, or the person you're becoming? Are you ready to begin rewiring these patterns so new ones can emerge? Take a moment to consider, where do you feel resistance to change in your body right now? Notice the tension, the contraction, the subtle fear. Notice without judgment. This awareness is the first step in neuroplasticity. This is where transformation begins. So let's address the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the real reason people don't transform sustainably. It's not because they lack willpower. It's not because they don't want change enough. It's not because they're not smart enough, or spiritual enough, or disciplined enough. It's because they're still neurologically wired to the version of themselves that learned to survive their past circumstances. And that version, while outdated, while no longer serving them, feels safe to the nervous system. Here's something most people don't understand about the human brain. It's not designed for happiness, success, or fulfillment. It's designed for survival. Your brain is constantly scanning for threats, looking for what could go wrong, preparing for danger that might never come. This served our ancestors well when they faced actual physical threats like predators and natural disasters. But in our modern world, this same survival mechanism keeps us trapped in limitation, fear, and scarcity thinking. The old patterns don't need your permission to continue running. They don't need your conscious agreement. They just need your participation. Every time you react the same way, tell yourself the same story, expect the same outcome, you send electrical impulses down the same neural pathways, making them stronger, more automatic, more dominant. It's literally like walking the same path through a field. The first time you walk across the grass, you barely leave a trace. But walk that same path every day for months, and eventually you've created a deep groove that's hard to avoid. In neuroscience, we understand this through the concept of neural efficiency. Your brain creates automated responses to conserve energy. These patterns become so deeply ingrained that you're no longer consciously choosing your responses. The responses are choosing you through established neural networks in your basal ganglia, the part of your brain that controls automatic behaviors and habits. Here's where cognitive neuroscience reveals something profound. Your brain's attention acts like a lens, focusing on certain aspects of reality while filtering out others. This selective attention literally shapes what you perceive as real in your environment. You don't see reality as it is. You see reality as your brain filters present it to you. Research shows that 95% of your thoughts are repetitive. You're thinking the same 60,000 thoughts you thought yesterday. And about 80% of those repetitive thoughts are negatively biased due to the brain's evolutionary negativity bias. This is a survival mechanism that helped our ancestors avoid threats by focusing on what could go wrong. But in our modern world, this same mechanism keeps us focused on problems rather than possibilities, limitations rather than opportunities, fears rather than dreams. Your brain is literally wired to see what's wrong, missing, or dangerous before it notices what's right, abundant, or safe. When we examine why intellectual understanding doesn't automatically create behavioral change, we discover something fascinating and crucial. Trauma, stress patterns, and emotional conditioning are stored not just in the mind, but in the body's cellular memory, nervous system responses, and even genetic expression. Scientists now understand that traumatic experiences can actually change your DNA expression through a process called epigenetics. These changes can be passed down through generations, which means you might be carrying patterns that aren't even originally yours. This is why you can understand something intellectually, know exactly what you need to do differently, have all the right information and strategies, but still struggle to embody it. Why affirmations feel hollow when your body holds different information. Why visualizations fade when your nervous system contradicts the images. Why you keep reverting to familiar patterns even when you consciously want something different. The resistance isn't just cognitive. It's physiological, emotional, energetic, and sometimes even ancestral. When your nervous system is dysregulated, when it's stuck in fight, flight, or freeze, it sends signals of threat throughout your body. Your heart rate increases, your breathing becomes shallow, stress hormones flood your system, your muscles tense, your digestion shuts down. Even when your conscious mind says, "I'm ready for change," your autonomic nervous system may be broadcasting, "This is dangerous. Stay where it's familiar," based on past conditioning. It's not personal, it's physiology. It's not a character flaw, it's chemistry. It's not a spiritual problem, it's a nervous system response. But here's the empowering truth. If your patterns were learned and conditioned, they can be unlearned and reconditioned. If your neural pathways were created through repetition and emotional intensity, new pathways can be created the same way. Notice where you still feel tension, resistance, or contraction when you think about your desired changes. Where are you declaring faith while your body vibrates with fear? Where are you seeking love while your heart braces for rejection? Where are you calling in abundance while your nervous system contracts with scarcity? These subtle contradictions reveal exactly where your nervous system needs attention, regulation, and gentle rewiring. This is your map for transformation. Now we reach the evidence-based foundation of sustainable transformation. This is where science meets spirituality, where ancient wisdom aligns with modern research, where understanding becomes embodied experience. Shifting your life patterns isn't about forcing external circumstances to change. It's not about manipulating outcomes or controlling what happens to you. It's about creating what leading researchers call psychophysiological coherence, a state where your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors align so completely that your entire system signals a new way of being. The HeartMath Institute, one of the world's leading research centers for heart-brain communication, has conducted over 30 years of research on this phenomenon. Their findings reveal that when your heart rhythm patterns become coherent and stable, it creates optimal communication between your heart and brain. Most people don't realize that your heart sends more signals to your brain than your brain sends to your heart. Your heart has its own nervous system with over 40,000 neurons that can think, remember, and feel independently from your brain. This coherent state enhances cognitive function, emotional stability, and intuitive insight. More importantly, it creates a measurable shift in your electromagnetic field that influences how you interact with your environment and how your environment responds to you. Research shows that practicing heart-brain coherence for just 5 minutes can improve decision-making abilities for up to 6 hours, reduce cortisol levels by 23%, increase DHEA anti-aging hormone by 100%, enhance immune function measurably, improve heart rate variability, increase mental clarity, reduce anxiety and stress, boost creative thinking. This isn't New Age theory. This is measurable, reproducible science. Cutting-edge research and embodied cognition shows that your physical posture, breathing patterns, movement, and even facial expressions directly influence your mental and emotional states. This isn't metaphorical, it's measurable neurochemistry. Studies demonstrate that standing in an expansive posture for just 2 minutes increases testosterone by 20% and decreases cortisol by 25%. Power posing before a challenging situation improves performance and confidence. Slow, deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, shifting you from survival mode to growth mode in real time. Specific movement patterns can literally rewire neural networks associated with confidence, creativity, and resilience. Even smiling, whether you feel like it or not, releases endorphins and serotonin, changing your brain chemistry within seconds. This means your body isn't just reflecting your mental state. Your body is actively creating your mental state. Change your physiology, change your psychology, change your posture, change your possibilities. Think of your desired transformation as already existing as a potential neural network in your brain. This isn't wishful thinking. This is based on current neuroscience research that shows every skill, behavior pattern, and way of being you can imagine already exists as possibility within your neural architecture. Your brain contains what scientists call mirror neurons, specialized cells that fire both when you perform an action and when you observe someone else performing the same action. This is why you can learn by watching, why you can feel empathy, and why visualization actually creates neural changes in your brain. When you consistently practice new thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, you're not creating something from nothing. You're strengthening existing neural pathways that have been dormant while allowing overused pathways to weaken through neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. Scientists once believed that after childhood, the brain was fixed and unchangeable. Now we know that's completely false. Your brain remains plastic, adaptable, and capable of profound change throughout your entire life. Every time you think a new thought, feel a new emotion, or perform a new behavior, you create new neural pathways in your brain. Do it consistently, and those pathways become superhighways of automatic response. This is why ancient wisdom traditions spoke about remembering rather than learning new skills. They understood intuitively what neuroscience now proves. Transformation is often about accessing and strengthening what already exists within you rather than trying to become someone entirely different. Who do you need to become neurologically to embody the life you desire? What neural patterns need strengthening through consistent practice? What old patterns need to be consciously interrupted before they run their automatic programs? What would it feel like in your body to live from the identity of who you're becoming instead of who you've been? Breathe into these questions. Feel the edges they press against inside you. Notice where there's expansion and where there's contraction. Because transformation happens in the body, not just in the mind. Real change is felt before it's thought. Here's where we move from understanding to application, from theory to practice, from knowing to being. The only approach that creates lasting change is one that actually rewires your nervous system through consistent, embodied repetition. This isn't about information anymore. This is about integration, embodiment, and lived experience. Research in behavioral psychology shows that small, consistent actions create more sustainable change than dramatic, sporadic efforts. This aligns perfectly with how neuroplasticity works. Your brain changes through repetition and emotional significance, not intensity alone. A small action done with awareness and emotional engagement creates more neural change than a large action done mechanically or without presence. For building abundance consciousness, practice gratitude with felt sense in your body, not just mental listing. Feel appreciation as a warm expansion in your chest. Notice and interrupt scarcity-based thoughts before they trigger stress responses. Catch the thought, take a breath, choose differently. Make financial decisions from a regulated nervous system, not from fear, panic, or impulse. Pause, breathe, center, then choose. Spend money with presence and appreciation rather than guilt, anxiety, or unconscious habits. Practice giving freely without attachment to receiving something back. Celebrate others' success instead of comparing or feeling threatened. For developing secure attachment and healthy relationships, practice keeping your heart open when you want to defend or withdraw emotionally. Express appreciation and vulnerability in small, safe ways daily. Notice your attachment triggers the moments when you want to pull away, control, or create drama. Respond from your adult, conscious self, not from wounded inner child patterns. Cultivate self-compassion through internal dialogue shifts. Speak to yourself like you would speak to your best friend. Practice receiving love, compliments, and support without deflecting or minimizing. For enhancing physical vitality and health, treat your body as an intelligent system deserving of respect, not as an enemy to be conquered. Choose foods that support and nourish your system rather than punish or restrict it. Move your body in ways that create joy and energy, not just obligation or punishment. Practice listening to your body's subtle signals before they become loud symptoms. Rest when you need rest. Eat when you're hungry. Stop when you're full. Move when you feel called to move. Here's what most transformation approaches completely miss. The practice isn't about perfection. It's about return. It's about coming back to center, to choice, to consciousness again and again and again. You will slip back into old patterns. You will catch yourself thinking old thoughts, feeling familiar emotions, making choices from your conditioned self. This is normal. This is expected. This is part of the process as your brain strengthens new neural pathways while old ones fade. The power lies not in never falling back, but in how quickly you notice and consciously choose differently. How fast can you catch yourself in an old loop and gently redirect? How soon can you recognize an automatic reaction and choose a conscious response? Every time you catch yourself in an old pattern and gently redirect, you literally strengthen the neural pathways associated with conscious choice over automatic reaction. You're building what neuroscientists call cognitive flexibility, the ability to adapt your thinking and behavior to new situations. Research shows it takes an average of 66 days to form a new habit, but the timeline varies greatly depending on the complexity of the behavior and the emotional significance you assign to it. Simple behaviors like drinking a glass of water upon waking might take 18 days. Complex behaviors like exercising regularly might take 254 days. But here's what matters more than the timeline. Consistency beats intensity. Small daily actions compound over time to create massive changes. Every time you wobble and come back, you strengthen the signal. Every time you notice an old loop pulling at you and gently choose the new pattern instead, you reinforce the shift. Every time you act, speak, breathe, and choose as though you already live in the desired state, the old patterns lose their grip on your nervous system. This is not punishment. This is not forcing. This is mastery. You are learning how to become the conscious architect of your own neural networks. Let me share some evidence-based tools that can accelerate your transformation. Controlled breathing practices. Research consistently shows that specific breathing techniques can shift your autonomic nervous system from sympathetic fight or flight to parasympathetic rest and digest activation within minutes. Try the 4-7-8 breath. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7 counts, exhale for 8 counts. Do this 4 times whenever you need to regulate your nervous system. Meditation and mindfulness. Neuroimaging studies reveal that regular meditation practice physically changes brain structure in as little as 8 weeks. It increases gray matter in areas associated with learning, memory, and emotional regulation, while decreasing activity in the amygdala, your brain's fear center. Even 5 minutes of daily mindfulness can create measurable changes in your brain. Movement and exercise. Physical activity generates BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which acts like fertilizer for new neural connections. Exercise is literally miracle grow for your brain. It also releases endorphins, reduces stress hormones, and improves mood naturally. Specific movement patterns can release trapped trauma stored in your nervous system and create new patterns of confidence and vitality. Cold exposure therapy. Controlled cold exposure has been shown to increase norepinephrine by 530%, improving focus, mood, and stress resilience while building confidence through controlled baths. Challenge. Start with 30 seconds of cold water at the end of your shower and gradually increase the duration. Sound and music therapy. Certain frequencies can entrain your brain waves, shifting you into states of relaxation, focus, or creativity. Binaural beats, for example, can help synchronize your brain hemispheres and promote specific mental states. Before we move to the final integration, I want you to pause and reflect. What would your day look like if you acted, breathed, and moved as the version of you who's already living your desired transformation? What would you do differently when you wake up in the morning? How would you speak to yourself in the mirror? What thoughts would you choose to think? What small choices would change? What emotional habits would shift? What conversations would end or begin? How would you show up in your relationships? This is not about grand gestures or dramatic life overhauls. It's about subtle, persistent alignment in the small moments that make up your days. Are you ready to embody the patterns you've been trying to chase? The final piece involves understanding how to sustain change over time, how to make transformation a way of life rather than a temporary project. Neuroscience research reveals that lasting transformation requires moving beyond willpower to what researchers call automatic virtuous behavior, where your new patterns become as natural and effortless as your old ones once were. This is the difference between forcing change through discipline and allowing change to emerge through integrated practice. Morning coherence practice. The first few minutes after you wake up are crucial for setting your nervous system's baseline for the day. Instead of immediately reaching for your phone or jumping into action, take 5 minutes to set your internal state through intentional breathing and conscious intention. Visualize yourself moving through your day from your desired identity, not your habitual patterns. Feel into the emotional tone you want to embody before external circumstances have a chance to trigger old reactions. This simple practice can shift your entire day's trajectory. Micro-alignment checks throughout the day. Set gentle reminders to pause and check in with yourself every few hours. Notice when your actions match your intended transformation and when they don't. No judgment, just awareness. Practice the sacred pause, taking 3 conscious breaths before reactive responses. This creates space between stimulus and response, giving you the choice to respond consciously instead of react automatically. Ask yourself, what would the version of me I'm becoming do right now? Then make that choice, even if it feels uncomfortable or unfamiliar. Evening integration practice. Before you sleep, spend 5 minutes reviewing your day through the lens of growth and learning. Review moments when you chose growth over comfort, consciousness over automatic reaction, love over fear. Appreciate your nervous system for its willingness to change and adapt. Set intentions for tomorrow's continued evolution. What patterns do you want to practice? What identity do you want to embody? Research in complexity science shows us that small changes, when sustained over time, can create dramatic shifts in overall system behavior. This is called the butterfly effect. Small actions can have large consequences when they compound over time. This is why consistency matters more than intensity in rewiring neural patterns. Your brain doesn't need dramatic gestures to change. It needs consistent signals that this is who I am becoming, repeated day after day until that becomes this is who I am. The transformation happens gradually, then suddenly. One day you wake up and realize you're thinking different thoughts, feeling different emotions, making different choices automatically. You've become the person you used to only imagine being. If this exploration is resonating with you, if you feel something shifting inside you, consider subscribing to stay connected with others on this evidence-based journey of transformation. Share in the comments one pattern you're ready to consciously interrupt. One old loop you're ready to break. Naming it reduces its unconscious power over you. Speaking it aloud begins the process of conscious change. You've now traveled through the neuroscience of change, the psychology of resistance, the physiology of transformation, and practical approaches to rewiring your internal systems. But the most important element is living these insights as a way of being, not just as concepts you understand. The ultimate goal isn't to perfect techniques or master practices. It's to develop what leading researchers call psychological flexibility, the ability to adapt your behavior to match your deepest values and intentions, regardless of external circumstances or internal resistance. This means developing the capacity to return again and again to alignment, to choice, to consciousness, not because you're forcing yourself, but because you've literally rewired your brain to prefer coherence over chaos, growth over stagnation, love over fear. Mastery isn't about never struggling. It's not about being perfect or having it all figured out. It's about developing such a strong, loving relationship with your own nervous system that you can navigate challenges while maintaining your core frequency. You become skilled at recognizing when you're slipping into old patterns and gently redirecting toward your chosen way of being. You become fluent in the language of your own transformation. This is neuroplasticity in action, not as a concept you understand intellectually, but as a lived reality where you become the conscious architect of your own neural networks. Thank you for engaging with this science-based exploration of personal transformation. You are not the same person who began this journey. Something has shifted in your awareness. New possibilities have opened in your neural pathways. You now carry new understandings, new practices, and new potential within your nervous system. The real transformation isn't in remembering everything we've discussed. It's in what you choose to embody in the next moment and the moment after that. In the next 24 hours, surprise yourself. Choose what action, response, or way of being that belongs to the version of you living your desired transformation. Make it small, make it real, make it conscious, and make it embodied. Feel it in your body, not just your mind. When you do this, you're no longer waiting for change to happen to you. You're actively creating new neural pathways that support the life you're choosing to live. You become the change you want to see. If you're ready to take this understanding to the deepest level, if you want to transform knowledge into wisdom, concepts into lived reality, Quantum Coree offers a comprehensive system that integrates all these evidence-based principles into a structured pathway for sustainable personal transformation. Quantum Coree combines neuroscience-backed practices for rewiring limiting patterns at the cellular level, somatic approaches for nervous system regulation and trauma integration, cognitive techniques for identity transformation and belief system rewiring, community support for sustained motivation and accountability, practical tools for embodying change in every area of your life, advanced practices for maintaining coherence under pressure. This isn't about quick fixes or magical thinking. This isn't another program that promises instant results without doing the work. It's about giving you the complete scientific framework and practical tools to become the conscious architect of your own transformation. It's about becoming fluent in the language of change itself. Your nervous system is ready. Your brain is capable. The research is clear. The methods are proven. The only question is, are you ready to step fully into the version of yourself you've been growing toward? Are you ready to stop talking about change and start being it? Join Quantum Coree today and transform understanding into embodied wisdom, concepts into lived reality, and potential into actualized transformation. Remember, you're not chasing transformation. You are the transformation. You're not seeking change. You are the change. The future version of you that you've been trying to become is already here, waiting in the potential of this present moment. Step into it. Embody it. Become it. Now.